we should pay a more detailed attention to the significant roles she played in the socio-economic and political development of Nigeria, apart from being a musician. Onyeka Onwenu, singer, songwriter, actress, human rights and social activist, journalist and politician, was deliberate, intentional, and very serious-minded in the way she succeeded in seamlessly multitasking in all the multifacetedly engaging assignments she was actively involved in addition to her main duty, music, which Onyeka Onwenu excelled tremendously. Onyeka Onwenu was the youngest daughter of a Nigerian educationist and politician, father who died a week to being announced as a federal minister when Onyeka Onwenu herself was only 4 years old. Onyeka Onwenu's mother had to raise all the 5 children alone. It is to the eternal tribute to Onyeka Onwenu's mother of blessed memory that Onyeka Onwenu is well educated today.
Mother was widowed at age 36. I was the last of 5 children. And my father, with the kind of life, he was a politician and a principal of a school. In those days, politics was not a full-time job. So he was principal of Enitonia High School in Port Harcourt. He was trained in Furabe University, Durham University. He was an educationist. In fact, by the time he died in 1956 in a motor car accident, it was 2 weeks away from him being sworn in as the Minister for Education for Nigeria. Yes, that was the father that I had. And I was the last child. My mother, at 36, decided that the best homage that she could pay that man was to make sure that his children were educated. The least we have is a master. In fact, I'm the least. I only have a master's. The other ones have doctorates and what have you. And so this was my background. Whatever you want to do in my family, you must go to school. Or my mother go tie wrapper. You and who for this one? You are going to. I didn't like school when I started. I used to go halfway and come back. I would demand, I need an umbrella. I need a. She will provide. In fact, my brother made a confession. He said he thought I was the least intellectually endowed. I didn't like school. I wanted to stay at home. But my mother, with her cane, she goes, so drive you, you go run 440, go back to school. That was what she did for us. Wow. And I thank her.
Onyeka Onwenu had a Bachelor of Arts in International Relations and Communication from Wellesley College, Massachusetts, and a master's degree in Media Studies from the New School for Social Research, New York, USA. She worked for the United Nations as a tour guide before she returned to Nigeria in 1980 to complete her mandatory 1-year National Youth Corps program with the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Lagos. Onyeka Onwenu read the news and was a reporter in 1984. She wrote and presented the internationally acclaimed BBC NTA documentary titled Nigeria, A Squandering of Riches, which became the definitive film about corruption in Nigeria, as well as the interactive Niger Delta agitation for resources control in the oil-rich region of south part of Nigeria.
The BBC crew came in to do this film. They decided, let us look at Nigeria through Onyeka Onwenu's eyes. The series is called the Third Eye series, and you pick somebody from a country and you go and see that country through their eyes. And so what they saw of Nigeria was what I was feeling at the time. The poverty, the lack of development. At that time, so much money was being poured into Abuja, but nobody was seeing the results and things like that. And they decided that I should write and present the film. We traveled all around the country, visiting the Niger Delta. By the way, the Niger Delta agitation had started at that time, but no one was prepared to talk about it. Everybody was afraid. I wasn't. And I talked about it. And we went down there and we spoke to people and began to really feel the agitation for what it was. And I said at that time, if the problem was not sorted out, I was picked up by the SSS at the time and I was questioned, and I remember the statements that I made out of naivety, that sometimes naivety is good, and that was where I said, look, the Niger Delta thing is real. It's either we deal with it
or we'll pay the price. I said the agitation, the vehemence of it is real, it's palpable, I can feel it.
Onyeka Onwenu started out as a secular artist but changed to gospel music in the 90s, and most of her songs were written by her. Onyeka Onwenu wrote and sang about issues such as health, HIV/AIDS, peace and mutual coexistence, respect for women's rights, and the plight of children. She began her recording career in 1981 while still with the NTA, releasing the album For the Love of You, a pop album which featured an orchestral cover of Johnny Nash's Hold Me Tight, produced by the late Beckley Jones. Her second album was Endless Love, produced by Sonny Okosun, which included another cover by the Everly Brothers, Walk Right Back. Both records were released under the EMI label. Onyeka Onwenu's first album with Polygram, In the Morning Light, was released in 1984, recorded in London, which featured the track Master Plan, written by a close friend, Tina Onwudiwe, who had previously contributed to Onyeka Onwenu's BBC documentary and later sang backup vocals on the album in 1986. Onyeka Onwenu released One Love, In the Morning Light, You and I, which was recorded for the 2001 film Conspiracy, starring Nkemowo and Onyeka herself. For the 1988 album Dancing in the Sun, Onyeka Onwenu adopted a more Afrocentric sound and collaborated with the legendary Juju music maestro King Sunny Ade on the track Madawolon, Let Them Say. This was the first of two song choices, and Wait For Me, which centered on family planning and endorsed by the Family Planning Parenthood Federation of Nigeria, and Dancing in the Sun. Onyeka Onwenu's final release on Polygram Records was dedicated to Winnie Mandela, which Onyeka Onwenu performed live when Nelson Mandela, Winnie Mandela's husband, visited Nigeria in 1990 following Nelson Mandela's release from prison. Onyeka Onwenu's acting life included the play A Childless Woman Who Adopts an Abandoned Baby in the Zulu Zik Okafor's Nightmare. She won the African Movie Academy Award for the Best Actress in a Supporting Role for her performance in the movie Widows. Onyeka Onwenu was also nominated in 2006 for African Movie Award for the Best Actress in a Leading Role in the movie Rising Moon. She also appeared in the movie Half of a Yellow Sun with Chiweta Ejiofor. Onyeka Onwenu did not quite succeed in the male-dominated political landscape of Nigeria. Onyeka Onwenu was a member of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. She contested twice to become the chairman of her local government council, Idiato North Local Government Area of Imo State, and she failed at both attempts. However, she was appointed as the Director General of the Imo State Council of Arts and Culture by former Governor Ikedi Ohakim of Imo State, while on 16th September 2013, Onyeka Onwenu was appointed as the DG, Chief Executive Officer of the National Center for Women Development by President Goodluck Jonathan.
The first position I vied for was local government chairman. People were telling me, what are you doing? I said, this is the closest to the
How
people.
you get to people more.
This is the most important as far as I'm concerned. No, they don't want me there. My governor, they don't want me, because if I enter there, everybody must see what is possible to be done at that level. So the important thing, wherever God gives you, use it well, commit. Make sure that you affect society. It's not just for you as an individual to show off, but it's for God to show off with you.
Onyeka Onwenu was a very loud voice for the autonomy of the local governments, which has just seen the light of day under the President Bola Tinubu administration. As the Director General of the Center for Women Development, Abuja, Onyeka Onwenu used her far-reaching connections at places that matter to improve the operations of the center. Onyeka Onwenu put in place training and empowerment programs for girls to be able to learn hairdressing, make beads, to at least be able to stand on their own. Collaborating with international organizations like the WHO, UNICEF, United Nations Organization, and other agencies, Onyeka Onwenu, as DG of the National Women's Center Center, Abuja, also reached out to the IDPs in places like the Northeast at the height of the Boko Haram insurgency with programs that gave succor to them. With the Girl Child Education Summit, which Onyeka Onwenu instituted as the Director General of the National Center for Women, Abuja, Onyeka Onwenu made education for the girl child a top priority in the scheme of things under her leadership. For over 2 years of Onyeka Onwenu's stewardship as the Director General of the National Women's Center, Abuja, she brought about very significant changes which stood the test of time and successfully defined her people-oriented leadership style that gave every woman a voice to be seen and heard very loudly.
That took a lot because we're doing issues concerning women and the girl child, and that's a whole lot that anybody can have on their plate.
Yeah.
So by God's grace, we did that well. When I now had a bit more time to myself, I thought, let me still continue with the issue of the girl child. I'm now a goodwill ambassador to the Echoes of Mercy and Hope Foundation home for children, that girls that are brought in from the streets. They rehabilitate, they educate. Some of them are in universities studying law, medicine. It's incredible. So when they invited me, I said, yes, this is what my life is about. I met the girls, started interacting with them, really felt their pain, and also saw the hope and where God is taking these girls. And I wanted them to know that their identity is not about what happened to them, that they were abused physically, sexually, whatever, that they were trafficked or they went into prostitution by force or their parents threw them out. That's not your identity. Your identity is really who you are, a child of the King.
First of all,
Onyeka Onwenu stood distinctly as voice against the refusal of radio and TV stations to pay royalties to artists whose works were used. This received widespread support by various artists, and this remains Onyeka Onwenu's most impactful contribution in support of the growth and success of her fellow musicians.
We fought, we went on strike, we protested, we wrote, we actually went, when we went on strike, we said no radio station should play our song until they decide to be paying us copyright dues. I was the one that came up with that idea. And some of us suffered because some musicians didn't want to do it, so they continued playing them. And the people like Ebenezer Obesani Ade, myself, no music until the population said, well, you can't do this. So they had to come back and sit down and negotiate. And we passed before. Any copyright violations is not it's just a civil matter. It's not a criminal offense. So you pay a small fine and you go back to making copies of music that is not your own and selling. Now it's criminal offense. We did that. We fought through PMAN and through the collective societies. Now, these musicians and people like me, when I started charging a decent fee for my, because I know what I put into my performance, it was just too expensive. I said, okay, go. But they come back because they know what you are made of.
exactly.
So they started paying decent fees to some of us. Now these musicians, some of them are charging too much. But I mean, if people are willing to pay that, well, please, go right ahead. But we started that trend. So what they're doing now is that they are enjoying, and that is as it should be. They are enjoying the sacrifices. They are standing on our shoulders. But that's what elders do. That's what the forerunners do. So no regrets. I rather have a feeling of accomplishment. I just wish that they would realize where we came from, because some of them don't. They look at you and they say, these ones. But then they come back and do our music.
Nigerians speak about all the attributes that defined Onyeka Onwenu's enigmatic dominance of Nigeria's entertainment scene. Onyeka Onwenu, singer, songwriter, actress, human rights and social activist, journalist and politician. The greatest weapon Onyeka Onwenu leveraged on very early in her career was well-grounded education, which gave the confidence to pull through. With proper education, which remains the enduring legacy Onyeka Onwenu propagated with creativity, Nigerian entertainers are ruling the world today.
Well, as you know, Onyeka and I go way, 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 way back. She went to one of the top universities in America, and I went to Harvard myself. So that was the sister school to Harvard. So her death touches me beyond any imagination. She was a brilliant, totally, as far as I'm concerned, she was never given the accolade that she truly deserves as an icon, a true icon of Nigerian womanhood, musician, actress, and, folklore. We have missed a gem. Nigeria has lost a gem. We pray that God will grant her eternal rest.
It was very sad. She was an excellent singer, a good actor, a great personality. We were both members of the advisory board to Peter Obi. We met regularly before the election, and it was a great shock to hear 1 month ago that she suddenly passed away. But she left a great legacy with her movies, her records, and she is now in the next dimension having a good time. Yesterday I said at the funeral, we artists, we don't rest in perfect peace. We are there having a good time. We are singing, we're dancing with the angels, and until we see again. She was very particular. Everything she did had to be done perfectly, from her performances to her clothes to her political contribution to Nigeria. She was just a great lady. She had been
much. I remember the first time I met her was in either very early in the 80s or late 79, and she crossed me as an excellent talent, which she was until she passed on. And as God would want it, she carried the flame till the very, very last moment. Onyeka, as I saw her rather, it's unfortunate I have to say as I saw her, but I mean that's just the fact of life. I saw her.
She'll be in our hearts forever.
Yes,
so well.
she will. She was just fantastic. She was classy, and she got into acting as well, which she also did very well. But her heart was always with the music, because the music was from the soul. And she will always be remembered for her music and for what she had done for Nigerian music, even at a time when Nigerian music was struggling.
She gave you some breath.
Yes, she did.
Thank you very much.
Onyeka Onwenu was indeed Nigeria's special gift to the global arts, music, and entertainment fraternity. In the lyrics of the powerful messages in Onyeka Onwenu's music, which she crafts herself, she has built bridges of love and mutual coexistence amongst humanity. The quintessential Onyeka Onwenu phenomenon disrupted the prevailing standards and took things to a completely new level. Practitioners in the arts, music, and entertainment sector don't come better prepared and packaged than this.
Thank you very much. Very sad that we lost a great gem like Onyeka and Onwenu, and she'll be greatly missed. She was a talented person, very inspirational, very articulate. She was almost like she was more of a I don't know, what's the word now? Like an activist, as much as she was a musician, a mother, a wife, and someone dear to the heart of the people. She fought for Nigeria. She very patriotic lady. She sang from her heart, and I'll tell you one thing: she'll certainly be missed. Well, first of all, her music was all African. Her attire was all African. She sang about Nigeria. She sang about Africa. She praised Africa. She praised Nigeria. What better person to honor than Onyeka Onwenu? Unfortunately, she passed on, and I just hope others follow.
Onyeka was not only a national treasure, she was a staple in the consciousness of Nigerians who think about creativity and culture. But beyond that, I think she represented so much more for us than what she did, the great things, the great strides that she made in the creative industry. Onyeka is part of our identity, is part of our ideals. She represented that. She was a woman of honor. She was a woman of huge beauty. She was a woman of immense pedigree. And it's someone that I think for us in a ministry, we have to now go back to see how best we can honor her and honor her legacy and ensure that we put up some sort of monument so that future generations will really know what she represented, not only in the creative industry, but what she represents as Nigerian excellence.
I remember recently I was on a program and we were talking about family planning, and the first song that came to me was the one she did with King Sunny Ade way back. A lot of people have forgotten, but so we did that song. And then I remember her as the woman who sat next to me on Moments with Mo. Onyeka Onwenu will be remembered for many things. She was a journalist as well. I would remember her documentary about Nigeria and how prophetic that documentary was and still is. I remember her for venturing into public service as well, and she did quite well with it. I remember her as a woman who personifies strength and courage. She was just not an elegant woman. She was a woman who was highly cerebral. So you find that she also gifted us a book before she left.
That was an open book. Onyeka Onwenu was someone a lot of us, looked up to. She was a principled woman. People used to call her a politician, but she was a politician of the future, not the kinds of politicians we have these days. She was intentional, she was disciplined, she was principled, and she was my role model. Yeah. That period was a very, very sad period for me. I had just lost my brother. In fact, I think she died on Monday, and just as I was thinking about it, my brother died on Tuesday. And I was mourning doubly. It was double mourning for me. It was a sad period. I still haven't gotten over it. And unfortunately, I think this is the first time I'm talking publicly about Onyeka Onwenu. May her soul rest in peace. Onyeka will be remembered for wanting to do good, wanting to do her best. She taught a lot of us. I mean, she was also a broadcaster, and she's the kind of person I really looked up to, so she was my role model also. And the legacy we owe her is to make sure that we do not let her works die. We try and read her like a book and learn from her and continue where she stopped. May her sweet soul rest in perfect peace.
The most befitting tribute we, the colleagues of Onyeka Onwenu in the arts and entertainment fraternity, and indeed all Nigerians in all sectors of life can pay to her, is love Nigeria and work towards her development.
I grew up watching her on TV back in Ghana. How we do as Africans, we communicate through song and dance. And so, throughout, I think her life, after growing up, maybe 10 years watching her, in Ghana, we didn't hear anything again about her until social media erupted. And that was when we were following her. So she became an actress. We didn't know that. She also, I think, compared a few shows here and there. But I think what she represented was the educated and enlightened African. I think that's what, for us, stood out, how eloquent she was, how she enunciated her words, and how she was able to mix both, let me call it was entertainment, but again, how she was able to channel the truths of what she was looking to communicate. Because when we think entertainment, we think lighthearted and fun. But as I say, that One Love song was a message that she was sending across, and she delivered it so perfectly that we actually thought it was a song. And I think that the message went home. It was talking about family planning. But I think that I personally just admired her. Another thing I admired her for, at the time it wasn't popular, was her short hair and the spot of gray she had in front. And she encouraged me to let my gray grow. That's why one of the reasons I'm sporting gray. I'm just finding out that she got buried yesterday. I was looking forward to like a national kind of funeral or acknowledgement or whatever but I hear she's been privately buried. It was a shock. It is a loss to the continent. I don't think it's just for Nigeria. I think it's a loss to the continent. She was such an icon. She was such an icon who embodied a lot. She was a mother. She was one time a wife. She was a newscaster. She's a communication expert. She became an actress. She did it all. And I think that what I take solace in is the fact that she lived.
I knew her probably in 1980 when she was working in NTA. She just came back from school. And we became friends, and then this was before she started singing. And then she started singing, became famous, and later on she got into politics. She ran for office, had federal appointments, was always a very inspirational lady, a beautiful woman, very classy. I was really shocked when she passed, and I'm speechless. You don't think of Onyeka as somebody who is not with us. She was always around. She was so sweet. I will miss her, and I'm sure her sisters, her family will miss her. We love you, Onyeka, and one day I guess we'll meet. But right now, we'll have tears in our eyes thinking about you.
She's a lady that I believe has made a very good mark for herself in this country, in the entertainment industry. And she's done excellently well in most of the things she has done. And I thank God for her life and what she's been able to achieve for this short time that God has given her. Well, she was a national figure. I'm not in government, so I can't really say. She should be given. She can be given one of these awards, posthumous awards. I believe so.
No, but she has an MFR already.
She has an MFR already.
Maybe a monument named after.
Something like that.
More
from her state. More from her state. Her state should really do that because she really, she projected the state in a very positive way.